It's Disenchanted with Charis on the Pimpy K Multiverse Network.
All right. Welcome to another week's episode of Disenchanted with Charis. I am your host, Charis. As always, joined by my lovely producer, Mr. Pimpy K. So I want everyone out there to give Pimpy a huge, big shout out because it was his birthday Tuesday. Unfortunately, his, shitty radio talent actually had to be at work the next day. So she wasn't here to celebrate with him. So
we didn't miss you, I promise.
Whatever. How do you? It's not a party till Charis walks in. That's the way that works. All right. So before we get too deep into this, let's go ahead and get that contact information up. All right. As always, you can follow me at Twitter at Charis Tomlin, Facebook Disenchanted with Charis. You can also
just facebook.com/disenchanted Charis. I mean, I know they can read.
Yeah,
but I just don't know if you can.
No, not really. Anyway, if you have anything you would like to email to me, stories, things you want to hear, death threats, anything like that, you can email me at charis@pimpyk.com. We actually have our hotline up and running, so you can actually call me and talk to me on the air now. Please do that if that is something that you're interested in doing.
That's 850-426-4065.
Oh, thank you, cheesy radio announcer.
I didn't run my regular voice that time.
No, you did all right. I'll give you a little credit. All right, Jesus.
This beat the shit out of Pimpy Day, isn't it?
Hey, I am in one of my moods. I actually got a pretty good amount of sleep this afternoon. Which, while we're on the subject of me and sleeping, and this is something that happened to me this afternoon. I actually slept a lot later than I wanted to. I didn't get up till about 2 o'clock. And I had to go to Target because I needed some stuff at Target. And I go hauling ass out the house. And something happened that could only happen to me. So in the shit show that is my life, I am running through Target in a pair of 4-inch high, actually I think they're 5 inches, platform wedge flip-flops. And the next thing, I go ass over tit in the middle of Target. The strap on my flip-flop had broken. And I didn't realize it. And as I picked my left foot up to put it in front of my right flip-flop, the whole shoe came out from under me. And I ended up picking myself up off the Target floor.
Did you do it all smooth, like where it looked like you meant to do it? Did you strike a pose while you were on the ground or something?
Oh, no. I totally freaked out because I had an armful of stuff, which went absolutely everywhere.
Did anybody help you?
One guy did laugh at me.
Nice.
And
that's all the help you needed.
I really was just too busy trying to scramble to pick my crap up and realize that I had a busted shoe. Then I'm trying to shuffle through Target with this one broken shoe, trying not to have to take my shoes off. I have a huge pride thing. I know this is Pensacola and I will be forgiven for walking around a store barefoot, but I was just really, it was horrible. I finally, once I got out the door, I took my shoes off and just ran for the truck. Some guy did take time out of his day to call me Ratchet, though, which was kind of,
God, you just attract the most awesome dudes ever, don't you?
Now you know why I just stay single. I seem to attract,
World Star should just follow you around with cell phones all day, shouldn't they?
Who?
World Star Hip Hop.
Who the fuck is that?
They always post, fights and stupid videos on the internet.
Oh, dude, strap a GoPro to my head, we would be millionaires tomorrow.
Nice. If you can promise me that, we shall get a GoPro.
Let's do that. I can tell you, my life is a never-ending episode of See What Had Happened Was. That is the story of my life. All right, so there is the update on my personal life. Tonight coming up, we have got sex, drugs, and all kinds of fun stuff, as well as voter fraud in New York, allegedly. So we'll go ahead and get started. So everyone knows that Utah is the sort of capital of not Jehovah's Witnesses. What are those people called? Mormons.
Mormons and LDS, they all kind of play together really in one way or the other. One just has way more wives than the other.
Yes, because selling 14-year-old girls off to men 3 times their age is always a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Butch Broman does it.
Utah has officially declared porn a public health crisis. They haven't tried to push any legislation to outright ban it, but that is something that's sort of being talked about. What their argument about it is that it harms the growth of young people, that it stunts their intellectual growth and stunts their ability to form relationships and this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, Kim Kardashian's kind of done that for us anyway, so I don't
know. I think I think somewhere along the line, I'm not going to say it's the only thing that causes it, but I think exposure to porn at a young age will do some sort of stunting of your sexual maturity, or at least forcing it to come along a little bit quicker than maybe it should have.
I think it can, but
I know grown ass dudes that can't handle that. You know what I mean? Like porn. Like people get addicted to that shit, just like anything else.
I'm still on the fence about that. I don't know. I'd have to see a little bit more information on porn addiction.
I'm just saying.
I mean,
I'm just saying for me personally.
I mean, for me, it's one of those things. I mean, one of the biggest complaints, one of the biggest things that they're trying to use to push this kind of thing is that they're worried about what will happen to the roughly 82% of registered sex offenders. They're stating that roughly 82% of the state's population of sex offenders watches porn.
Well, come on, that's just fucking retarded. Everybody watches porn.
So
what I'm
they're almost using a fear tactic in order to do it.
Well, and that's how they do it. But what I'm worried about more than just about anything, even just for me personally and my own mental well-being, is that what I demand now. Because of this, like, just outright easy access to porn that we have today, like, it gets weirder for me, like, all the time. Like, I'm not even going to get into what it is that I look up, but I get into shit so fucking often. Like, it's like, you ever watch just, like, regular YouTube, and you got on there to watch one specific thing, and then, like, 5 hours later, you're like, well, how did I get here? That's how it is with me in porn.
Like, Tijuana donkey shows?
Yeah, like, exactly. Like, it starts out some cute girl-on-girl college dorm video or whatever, right? And next thing I know, it's like 3 grandpas and a cow, and I'm just like, how the fuck did I get here? But it's like a train wreck. You can't look away.
Yeah. So now that we've, good Lord, we really need to clean up our act around here.
Grandpa cow porn tonight on the Pimpy K Multiverse Network.
Good Lord. Okay, so, God. I have a mental image now, and it's just, oh God, the things that go on in this studio. It's a good thing we're not monitored by anyone or supervised by anyone. We kind of have.
You mean like the FCC?
Like the FCC or anyone like that? We'd be in trouble. So, for those of you who do not know, I am incredibly pro let's legalize pot. And I was really, not only necessarily for its medical benefits, but also for recreational users. And
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And there is a lot coming out. Colorado, when did they, I think it was officially in 2012, they legalized it for recreation. It's been legal for medical use for some time. But everyone's kind of been watching Colorado and seeing kind of what the outcome is. Because you have all the proponents going, well, you have the taxes, you have, crime will go down, this, that, and the other. And I did a little digging and wanted to know what the actual effects of this was. Because they're saying in the state of Florida on the 2016 ballot in November, we will once again be voting for the legalization of medical marijuana in the state of Florida. So far, here's what's happened.
Well, I know. And tell me if I'm wrong. Didn't it actually get the popular vote? But it
got the popular vote, but it didn't get a high enough percentage. there was a threshold of, I think, 56%. And it was only, so it got the majority vote because I think
there's
it ended.
There's like people within like the state House of Representatives or whatever that their vote counts like a certain percentage, so you have to get like up to like 65% or something for it to actually go through.
Yeah, which I think is bullshit. I think if 54% of the people vote for it,
government politics,
give the people what they want and hush. So in 2015, for 1 year, the pot sales in the state of Colorado were 996.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which generated 135 million in tax revenue. The benefits of that, what's ultimately happened? You have jobs that are created as a result of this from everything from construction, retail, agriculture, lab testing.
The crime rate went down like 15% too. Didn't it?
Only about 11% actually.
Well, that's still a really big percentage.
That's still a percentage down. The estimated creation of jobs within and it's in 2015 is roughly 200,000. Tax revenue actually went up 78% from the year before, because they've had legalized marijuana for some time. Mm-hmm. What's also become kind of a big talking point as well is you have companies like Bloom Farms, CBCB, they're actually promoting charity as well. Both of those organizations specifically use part of their profits to feed impoverished people or feed homeless and so on and so forth. The Denver Relief has a little group they call the Green Team, and they promote community wellness through volunteerism. They use part of their profit to do that. So not only are we seeing things like job growth, crime rates go down, but there's a promoting of a community wellness, which I think is also really important.
You know, the funny thing is, opponents of you know, that are against the getting rid of the prohibition on marijuana. Mm-hmm. They like to say that, yeah, well, of course they're doing charities and everything else because they're trying to up their image and they're trying to make themselves look like this or, you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's be honest with just straight out of the box. Probably the biggest philanthropist on the planet, Bill Gates and the Bill and Linda Gates Foundation or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Bill started that, and nobody gives more money to charity than he does. That's just a fact. He started that for one reason and one reason only, because he thought the world thought he was a dick.
Right.
And he wanted to change his image. Well, all these companies that get involved with charities, no matter what kind of industry you're in, they're not doing it specifically because they want to do good. They're doing it so they can say, hey, we give back. Yeah, but who gives a fuck where the charity comes from? Let's just be happy that it's there.
And by the way, marijuana was legalized in 2013 in Colorado. So I actually want to get to some of the detractors because I pulled this up. Now, this is actually from a local news channel in Denver. So I'm going to go ahead and say they probably have some credibility. These are some things that they are saying why the legalization of marijuana was a bad idea. Marijuana-related traffic deaths. And I'm going to address these point by point because I can. Marijuana related traffic deaths have increased by 32%. All right. Up until marijuana was legalized in the state of Colorado, they did not keep track of that. They kept track of fatalities based upon intoxication only. Mm-hmm. So there was no way to tell. First of all, if I've smoked pot. I'm sure most of my viewers have. I'm sure you, Pimpy, have smoked a few bowls in your life. Mm-hmm. If somebody who is high is out driving and they are in a traffic-related fatality, odds are good they were the ones that got killed. And I say that because people who drive high drive at like 20 miles an hour and sit at stop signs waiting for them to turn green. These are
that's not true. I would much rather, and you know, I remember I had a teacher say this when I was in like 6th grade. He's like, I would much rather if any of you were to ever get in a car and you had to choose between somebody drinking and someone smoking pot, I would hope you got in the car with somebody smoking pot. Because,
Yeah.
let's be honest, it's two totally different things. And now, don't get me wrong, I don't think people should be driving on either one of them, because I've had some pot that was like that I fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn. So I can imagine.
The other thing they're saying is that marijuana-related emergency department visits increased by 30%. Okay, here's what's happening, because I saw that and I wanted to know why. People are coming from out of state, and they're coming as tourists, and what they're doing is they're consuming marijuana edibles. That's all well and good, but it takes a minute. And what they're doing is they're consuming them in large quantities.
Right.
And they're getting so high, they're freaking out.
Exactly. they're having, I'm sure they're having panic attacks.
So they're panicking. And that's what's happening. It's not... They're saying, you know... poison control center calls have gone up. Hospitalizations have gone up. That's all well and good, but what you've got is people who can't handle their intoxicants.
Right.
Okay, it's not, you know, it's...
But let's be honest about this. Yeah, maybe those things have gone up, but you know, if anything, that's this more stimulation for the healthcare industry. I mean, no, seriously. I mean, let's talk about how many of those people die compared to how many people from prescription painkillers go into ER every day because they've taken too much.
Well, and I'm glad you bring that up.
You might get fucking scared shitless, but you're not gonna die from weed.
Well, and that's just it. It's I've actually gone, and I really wish I could remember his name because I never do. But he's a botanist at UC Denver. And he has spent many, many years doing research on the effects of THC, medical marijuana, et cetera, et cetera. And I love his research because, first and foremost, he's a scientist. He has said numerous times, smoking weed, you should never put smoke in your lungs, regardless of what kind it is. So the negative of that actually can detract from the benefits of it. However, within our brains, we actually have THC receptors. We are designed as humans to reuptake THC. We are also designed to store it. For those of you who are interested, I will try to hunt this guy down, and I will try to post his information on the Facebook page, because it is very, I'm not going to get in too deep to it tonight, because he does go into endocannabinoids and the blood-brain barrier and things that most people are just, it's going to put them to sleep. But it's very, very fascinating, and he has even said it is impossible to OD and die on marijuana. You cannot do it. You would pass out first. And not even just the health benefits. There are tremendous health benefits, but even recreational use.
Yeah, and I would imagine in order to actually to legitimately OD on just the THC itself, you would have to take it in some type of like real concentrated doses, right? Like that somebody that's like refined it down to like a sludge, and then you, right? I mean, I don't know.
But it's and I first got into this several years ago when I was in college.
You just got in the pot?
No, I mean, I smoked pot when I was younger. No, excuse me, you know who I used to hang out with. You know I've smoked a bowl or two.
I don't know those guys.
Why do you think I listen to the Doors? I totally understand where Jim Morrison comes from when he says break on through to the other side.
I was about to say that's not fair, but touche.
What?
You had to have done some drugs to ever have enjoyed the Doors.
I love the Doors. Are you kidding me? Oh, Jim Morrison was probably my first real celebrity crush.
When I think of, the funny thing is, when I think of you, when I think of the Doors in the comparison with you, the thing that I think of is people are strange when you're a strange. My bad. Go ahead.
Hey, I happen to love that song.
Because you are a strange, creepy lady.
Oh, I'm strange as fuck. They just... I prefer to call it eccentricism, but, you know.
I just want to remind everybody really, really quick before we move on. The live chats are open, so if you have any questions for Charis, hit her up on the live chat. And once again, we do have the PMVN hotline up and ready to roll. If you guys want to call in and be a part of the show, that's 850-426-4065. Call us.
real quick before we get into our first break, I know Pimpy had brought up the prescription drug issue. I have wondered for some time why, when you have all this evidence that suggests the benefits of medical marijuana, why we're still relying on opioids. And the answer to that is very simple. When the DEA goes after people, drug dealers specifically, for marijuana, they can actually then sell, and the DEA, I call them out specifically, but law enforcement period, when they seize those people's assets, they sell it and profit off of it.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
In fact, their budgets are affected by what they seize and sell. And if you want to get a little more into that, there's a documentary you should watch called The Lynching of Charlie Lynch. And it's about a man by the name of Charlie Lynch who lived in California, started a dispensary following every last letter of the law as prescribed by the state of California. The DEA came in, seized all his assets, put him out of business, and as far as I know, he is still in prison for something that was perfectly legal in his own state.
It happened to Tommy, too.
Tommy Chong, yeah, he was selling bongs on the internet.
Yep.
So that's something, if you want to look into that and how the DEA actually profits off of that, I definitely recommend that. The other side of that is the prescription drug companies have skin in it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
opioids are incredibly cheap to manufacture.
Yeah. Any of those industries, like big pharma, they've got lobbyists for days. They've got all the money, and they can easily fight back against mom and pop dispensaries and things of this nature.
Well, and then if you also go back to the 20s, and I really should Google this, but my internet's not working right now. Is it DuPont, the rubber guy?
Yeah. Well, they manufactured rubbers. Yep.
DuPont, the DuPonts actually went after when at this point you had hemp that was being produced.
Right.
Well, you can make anything out of hemp. Tires.
Right.
Rope.
Because it's all oil based.
Right.
And you can produce more. You can do like I forget what the exact numbers are, but this has happened. Just the petroleum industry in general, the petroleum industry is huge. There's some of most of the 1%ers right now in this country were made rich from the oil booms.
From oil, and
which believe it or not, if you go back and you do research, you find out that was the reason for the prohibition on alcohol too, because they found out that alcohol was a higher octane and was actually a cheaper and more viable fuel and cleaner to use for industrial purposes and automobiles. And one of the reasons behind the original prohibition of alcohol was because the petroleum industry was afraid that alcohol was going to take it over. Well,
and back to what I was saying about the DuPonts, the hemp thing was becoming a thing. From hemp, you can make tires, which you paper, rope. You can virtually replace quite a few bit of petroleum-based products with hemp, and
one acre of hemp can make more paper than 4 acres of trees.
Yes, that is a fact. And the DuPonts were like, oh, hell no. Well, the DuPonts were a very wealthy family. They were able, and that's where the movie Reefer Madness, I don't know how many people have seen that.
It was all propaganda.
It was all propaganda, and ultimately marijuana and hemp was made illegal in this country.
They matter of fact, it was racially implicated too, because they tried to make it seem like it made drugs in general made black people crazy and would rape white women, and that was how they were able to pass this legislation.
Exactly. So we are getting to that time in the show where we take a break. When we come back, we are going to talk about many New Yorkers who were disappointed when they went to go vote in the primaries. We're also going to drag the hacktivist group Anonymous into it. Apparently, they have responded to this. So, for those of you who give them a little credit, we're going to bring them into it when we get back from the break.
DJ Quake is on the live chat before we jump out to the break. Let's holler at my boy, the man that does radio, the radio division right here at PMVN. I'm trying to figure out where the hell I did with it. There it is. There's the chat. What's going on there, Mr. DJ Quake? You notice I made the font a little bit bigger, so now we can actually read it. I could probably make it a little bit bigger than that, and we'll then eventually do that. What's up, my man? Thank you for tuning in. We're gonna go ahead and
wait a minute. Aren't I supposed to be thanking the people in the live chat? This is my show.
Have at it.
We appreciate the love, DJ Quake. We miss you. I know you were here with us last week. We'll have to get you back in here at some point. Maybe even get you on the air with me and you can go toe to toe at
Put
it.
that man on the dais.
Yeah. All right, we'll see y'all after the break.
Let's do this! Execution, choose the best for revolution and refuse the final rules from the powers that abuse. Execution, born on the dawn of retribution, filtered through the populace and it's a popular amusement. It's time to change the game and wear the vein and all your culture. Gonna rise up to the challenge, gonna feed you to the vulture. It's a battle plan, I got it, man, I'll lead us to the promised land. A wicked band of brothers, it's the charter, fuck the others. Got a bad reputation, feel my base on innovation. I'm an evil motherfucker in the face of opposition. Opposition in his vision is a carnage, lace deception of a crucifixion. New machine, get with it or get buried, bitch. Looks of the Bible, blessed his only child. I was born in the wild alone. You never take me down. 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 Challenged by the throne, alone and battle prone. The folks they always know. Whoa, you'll never take me down. You never take me down. You never take me down. You never take me down. Execution, resistance leads to revolution. If you're dying for your cause, and it's flaws in your solution. Execution, blood it flows, it fills the valleys, and you tally all the bodies and prepare for the finale. They be praying to the God, and I'll be praying like an eagle. Here's a church, here's a steeple. I'ma kill all these people. Be prepared for this transition, place the base at all locations. It's a vision, it's a mission, get you knocked out of commission. It's the changing of the garden, it's the flagship of resistance. Idle turning just an instance, if you blink you just one miss. It stays encrypted in my mind, and then I spit it in a rhyme. Baby K, say the rule on execution at a time, come on. Books of the Bible, blessed his only child. I was born in the wild alone. You never take me down. 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 Challenged by the throne, alone and battle prone. The folks they always know. Whoa, you'll never take me down. You never take me down. You never take me down. You never take me down. Of the Bible, blessed his only child. I was born in the wild alone. You never take me down. 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 Challenged by the throne, alone and battle prone. The folks they always know. Whoa, you'll never take me down. You never take me down. You never take me down. You never take me down.
You're listening to the Pimpy K Multiverse Network.
This is Armageddon News.
Too late to push for unity when falling sees
is to dwell upon its horrors.
You're listening to the Pimpy K Multiverse Network. Sex is like snow. You never know how many inches you're going to get or how long it's going to last. You're watching Disenchanted with Charis on the Pimpy K Multiverse Network.
All right, everybody, we are back, and we are going to jump into our second segment. But first, let's get up the contact information.
All right.
All right, so you can always, as always, reach me on Twitter at Charis Tomlin. Get me up on Facebook.com/Disenchanted Charis. Email me with your questions, comments, sleepover invitations to charis@pimpyk.com. Don't forget, we have the hotline text line open. It's 850-426-4065. All right, so, you know, in our first segment, we kind of went over a little bit of the effects that marijuana has had on Colorado, as well as some of the politics involved in that. Primarily because I wanted to just get into politics in the second segment. I actually enjoy politics. And this past election has really, 9 times out of 10, I really don't get involved in the primaries. I do my own research and I vote for whoever I think is the best liar. But this election has kind of brought out some things that I think in some ways need to be brought out. Because you have, the GOP is virtually collapsing from the inside out. You have Donald Trump, who is the front runner, and all he does is seem to spew hate, and he's riling people, he's inciting riots. Now, if I go incite a riot right now, I'm going to jail. So why he gets to get away with it, I don't know. Then you have Hillary Clinton, who is basically Trump in a dress. I'm not a fan. I'm being waved at, and I don't know why. I was asking for a pen. Oh, and it's in my suitcase that I bring with me every week. I'm gonna get you a pen cup. Front pocket, many colors. All right. So, back on point. I also want to get into
that was my bad. I interrupted the show and I apologize.
Good grief. There's always that guy, isn't there? Always. So, back on subject. What really caught me with this is because Anonymous has actually gotten involved. Now, you can give them whatever credit you choose to, whether you don't. I actually don't dismiss the whole hacktivist movement, as they call it. How powerful it is, I don't know. That being said, and I'm sure Kenny may want to jump in here and correct me on this, but I do think hacktivism is the new form of civil disobedience. It has definitely led to I think a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Ooh, this is a fun one.
All right, continue.
Okay.
I'm going to be passing you notes, and I'm going to be giving you production signals and things like that. No, you got to hear me out. And you're absolutely new at this, and you're doing a rock steady job.
Can I get back to Anonymous? This is good.
No, we will, but I just got to cover this real quickly. I'm going to be giving you production signals. I'm going to be passing you notes. I'm going to be telling you about callers and chat. You got to learn how to just keep going and go through your fucking spill because your show's getting more interactive now, and you've got fans that are tuning in and they're watching.
Look, I've said it once, and I'll say it again. I am the poster child for ADD medication.
Right. Well, so that means you should be able to multitask with the best of them. Then.
No.
Just not stay on one thing for very long at all.
Right. Okay. So Anonymous has actually been getting involved in the election, and where this kind of sparked off was that in Arizona there is accusations of voter fraud and voter tampering being thrown around. So I went to their website, which for those of you who are interested, it is anonnews.co. And this was their response, and I'm just going to read it verbatim. Anonymous has begun a thorough investigation into the as-of-yet unverified claim that Bernie Sanders' campaign offices in Arizona were hacked and that the information gathered may have been used to switch his supporters from registered Democrats to independents, Republicans, or Libertarians. Here's why that matters. Arizona has a closed primary, so if you're not a Democrat, you can't vote in their primary. From there, their next step is to validate that the claims are credible, how feasible it is to use that information, and were only or primary Sanders supporters affected. I say that because the same allegation has now been made in New York. There was a lady who went to go vote in the New York primaries and was told she couldn't because she was a registered Republican. This struck this young lady as very interesting because she actually went and switched to Democrat so that she could vote for Obama in the primaries the last time Obama was up. She asked to see a judge. The judge said, no, clearly you're a registered Republican. She then noticed one of the members of the Board of Elections with documentation that was hers in his hand. It was her name, her social, her birth date, all the relevant information, but the signature was not hers. She then took it back in front of a judge. She was still able to get her vote cast because when she showed the judge, no, this is my signature, they were noticeably different, and I actually was able to view that online. And there's no way they were even close, because this lady had the handwriting of a doctor.
I'm pretty sure I read that cases of this have been discovered in all of the states that have closed primaries, including the state of Florida.
Yeah, well, the state of Florida can't even count.
Right, well, that's true.
I mean, we have a closed primary because we run out of toes.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So, and the other thing, because such a stink was made about this, one of the other things they found was that up to 120,000 Democratic voters had been lost since last fall. Their voter records, as far as saying that they were Democrats, were gone. Somehow they grew legs and walked off. So, am I going to sit here and say mass conspiracy? No. Does it kind of make me think George Carlin was right when he said our vote doesn't matter because if it did, they wouldn't let us do it? Absolutely. And that's why this election has my attention, because this stuff like this keeps coming up. So, just a little food for thought. Like I said, if you ever want any of my sources, if you want to read the original articles, reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to give them to you.
And we'll even, if you want to start quoting your sources, we'll even put them into the description of the video after the live show ends, along with any URLs and links to the sites where you gather this information.
Well, that's a little bit of a lot of work on my part, but if you do ever want them, I will produce them.
I'm the one that's going to do it. All you have to do is tell me where you got it from.
Okay. So it looks like we have a little something. Someone wants to contribute. Nikki Hayes wants to ask me about Target and the transgender bathroom.
There's Nikki Hayes. Have you heard about the Target and their decision on transgender and bathrooms?
I have actually heard about this. Here are my thoughts. I would rather pee next to someone who is transgender than pee next to a bigot, to be honest.
Nice.
There have been
I like that.
there are absolutely and one of the things that's been used to sell these bathroom bills and this keeping transgender people out of their gender associative bathroom has been that, oh, we're protecting women and children. No, you're not. Because there is absolutely no record ever of a man wearing a dress and trying to sexually assault a woman in a bathroom. It has never happened.
No. I'm
But
sure
here's-
it's happened
well,
at least once.
well-
However, there is solidified proof. There's actually solidified analytics that say that rape and sexual assault amongst the gay community is definitely lower than it is.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. What I'm
just
talking
saying, 'cause that's what they're using.
What they're using is that men are going to now start dressing as women so they can stake out women's bathrooms and harass women. That is no. There is no solidified evidence that happens. There is, however, solidified evidence of transgender men going into male bathrooms and being beaten, killed, harassed, and the same is true of women. So, in that respect, regardless of whether you think it's right or wrong, at that point you have to look out for the safety of these people. That is, in fact, a government's job, is to protect its people. So, that's it with that. I personally don't care. I don't really see how it's any different. I mean, you'll see parents do this all the time. You'll see dads out with their daughters and the daughters end up in the men's room. You'll see mothers out with their sons and the sons end up in the woman's bathroom. I don't see how it's really any different. I mean, I've even seen mothers take their sons into men's bathrooms. Again, I don't see how it's any different. I think this is once again the religious right trying to impose its will upon others, and which I don't agree with. And that's really all I have to say about it. I don't think it's an issue at all. I think as far as on our list of things we have to worry about as a country, I think this is somewhere on the back page with the obituaries and the DUI arrests.
I'm with you. You know the funny thing to me, and the thing that irritates me about this whole dispute, is that people act like these transgender that like they're just making this conscious decision to be a different sex one day, and that they don't live in agony and embarrassment like their whole lives because what it is, the skin that they're in and how they have to feel comfortable. It's if people actually understood and took the time to comprehend the emotional stress and trauma that these people go through just being themselves, you would realize that just regular heterosexual men won't go through that extent. Well, most of them. There's going to be one or twosies everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to get that oddball, but it doesn't.
No.
I don't see. Again,
when
it's a
think about
non-issue.
the level of persecution that these people go through, nobody does that specifically so they can piss in one bathroom or another.
Yeah, no. Transgender people do not want to come and rape your wife. They just want to pee, all right? Like, get over it. So I hope that answers your question.
That's pretty good stuff.
That's pretty good stuff. Do we have anyone else? We got anything else?
We had somebody. I gotta be honest with you. I just don't get it. Your friend Diona just said 1, 2, 3, 7, 9, 12. Maybe you can understand what that
I
is.
think she's giving me crap about having the attention span of a gnat.
And then somebody named Dex Trip redacted 3 messages. So
Dex Trip?
Yeah, I will go ahead and bring the chat up and let you see exactly what it is that I'm talking about. I have no idea who that is.
I actually know a Dex, so that maybe, I don't know. I'll have to text him later and beat him up.
Well, here it is.
Here it is.
Anonymous is a bunch of teenage boys living in their parents' basement. Actually, I got to be honest with you, as an IT guy there, Dex, And this is the honest to God truth. I am an IT guy, and you're right. When you take a majority of the people that call themselves hackers, most of them are script kiddies, which is a term that was tokened back in the late 90s or so, and it's basically about kids that they're not really hackers, but they go out and they download the programs. Like, remember the old AOL punters and stuff that? They call those script kiddies. And yes, there is a lot of that going on, a lot of credit card theft and social engineering and things of this nature that go into that. However, when it comes to the level of stuff that Anonymous does, at least that they get any publicity for, we're talking about people that have got like triple layered proxies where you can't, it'd take 180 days to track an IP address, and by the time you did track it down, that person's already moved on. Teenagers in basements aren't doing that, I promise you. This is next level shit.
I tell you what, and Kenny, you'll probably find this book really interesting too.
Nope, I don't read.
What do you mean you don't read?
Get it for me on tape and I still won't listen to it.
My God. And here I was thinking you were intelligent.
No. Listen,
but
just because somebody isn't into reading doesn't mean they're not intelligent.
Well,
I hate
no.
that. I hate when people fucking say that.
No, but this one you probably would get into.
Like that whole read a book, motherfucker. You know what I mean? It's like, no, just watch the History Channel. You know what I mean? What's wrong with that?
Because it's nothing but aliens now.
Okay. Once again, touche. But I'm just saying,
I actually caught.
Watch old Carl Sagan episodes of The Universe, or even the new ones with what's his name?
Neil Tyrese Gibson.
Okay, yes.
That's
not right. It's not.
Tyrese, whatever.
You just took Tyrese Gibson and added Neil in front of it. It's Neil deGrasse Tyson. Jesus, you were just, you were just telling me that I was uneducated and not informed, and I started talking about Neil deGrasse, and you just put Neil in front of Tyrese Gibson. What the fuck? Oh, Jesus,
it should be noted that in January I have to take
insert mouth, bitch.
Coming January, I actually have to take a physics class for my engineering degree, so I might want to figure that shit out quick. Where else? That's what it was. The book is called We Are Anonymous, and it was actually written by a journalist. And throughout that book, they do get into a lot of the things that Anonymous has done and the things that they've gotten publicity for. And what's interesting to me is that the stuff that they have done and gotten publicity for is not what you see out there. It's these... And you're right, it's not kids in parents' basements. It's not kids running around in Guy Fawkes masks. These guys are into some shit. These are people that you would never find.
I just think it's really awesome that they use like the whole V for Vendetta thing, like because of who he was and like the whole anonymous, like which is obviously where that movement was inspired.
Right,
by.
It was.
But it's that's the perfect analogy for their movement. Though that's awesome.
It is, but the thing that I find interesting is that whenever they buy those Guy Fawkes masks, the money goes to Time Warner, which I'm pretty sure is something they're trying to protest. So the irony is not lost on me at all.
Well, no, that's okay, you're right. Okay. No, I mean, it's just...
But I do understand.
You can't escape the evils of capitalism.
Right,
That's
but
impossible.
but I do understand why they use Guy Fawkes as their sort of hero, if you will. What do we got going on in the chat? Anybody said anything fun?
Let's see. We can bring. You want to bring it up? We can do that for sure.
I still can't read it from my monitor.
That's fine. If you look over at the production monitor, you might be able to see it a little better. It looks like your homegirl Diona said they are finding loopholes in regards to our safety to execute their religious propaganda. That happens all the time. I can tell you right now that in government, they always will find security reasons as a way for them to have you give up your liberties. I mean, that's been going on since the beginning of time.
Well,
which is exactly what V for Vendetta is, and that's been happening way before that. And she also said History Channel is not the full history. It is there for entertainment, and you're right. And rip China. Yep, China did die.
China died. China is the poster child for why women should not do steroids.
Yeah, she's the poster child for elongated clitoris.
You know, was it you who asked
Yes,
me
it
that
was
question?
me. It was on the episode of The Deal with Villarreal. Yes, I
Didn't
did.
you ask me? Yeah, because I think kind of caught me a little off guard. I'm like, whoa, that was a little bit, really? Okay.
Here's what I want to do real quickly before we continue on, and we got looks like about another 8 minutes or so, and we can run a little bit over if this happens the way we are. I'm going to bring the chat back up for just a second. I'm not trying to, and Prince, yes, we know we live on this rock. I promise you. Thanks though, Dex. 5 hours late. See, I don't want to alienate your fan base. I should probably just shut up.
No, Dex, you couldn't alienate Dex. Dex is pretty hardcore. He's
Well, how about this? Dex, Deanna, or Nikki? One of you guys.
I don't know. This Nikki guy, I don't know.
Guy? No, that's spelled Nikki. It's Nikki Hayes. That's Nikki with 2 Ks. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a female.
Yeah, but either way, I'm not sure who they are. So, I mean, hey, if I know you, and I should know you, and I'm not placing you right now, I apologize, and I'll buy you a beer next time I see you out. But
I want to take a call.
If I don't know you,
I challenge one of you, 4 beautiful people, to pick up your phone and dial 850-426-4065 and come on with us live right here on Disenchanted with Charis.
you were asking some dangerous things out of my people. I'm telling you.
I want it. Somebody call in.
Especially Dex. He can get a little rowdy.
Call in, Dex. Would love to have you, buddy.
So.
All right.
I know.
Digression
Digression as we digress. We do that a lot around here, and it does keep things interesting.
What?
We were talking about Anonymous, and it actually it brought up and I was thinking about, as I was talking about it,
Get it together, Charis.
I had a point about Edward Snowden that I wanted to bring up, and totally lost it.
He didn't do it anonymously, poor guy.
He didn't. But no, and I've had this conversation with people in the past, because there are a lot of people who want to compare him to Julian Assange. You cannot, the WikiLeaks guy, you cannot compare the two.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about the Snowden situation in general, I mean, they work together to get that information out, though.
But herein lies, to me, the difference. Assange is more ego-driven. He did what he did because he could, without any...
Because he knew it was going to drive up clicks and he was going to get paid.
Right. Without thinking about the consequences, without thinking of the people who were killed as a result, without thinking of the risk that he put people in. And he did it solely for ego. Then you have Edward Snowden, who knew the risk, who knew he would never be able to come back to his own country, who knew that people could potentially be injured or killed as a result of the information he put out. But even the reporters who took his information have said later on down the road, there is still stuff that we have. We still have tons of stuff, but we were told, do not put this out unless you absolutely have to, because people will die as a result of this information. So I can appreciate the discretion.
I disagree, though. I believe Snowden, I believe it was self-motivated too. I think he wanted to be known for this because he was a really smart guy, and I believe he could have gotten this information out without anybody ever finding out it was him.
Maybe.
I think he was a little disgruntled too, and I think that drove some of it.
Yeah, but how could you not be? Because he tried to go about it the correct way. He tried to go to his superiors and go, look, I have a question about this, or I have an issue with this. And they said, no, shut up, leave it alone, ignore it, don't deal with it, da-da-da-da. How could you not be a little bit disenfranchised with that? Mm-hmm. So you can't say he was a horrible human, and people are egocentric by design. So yes, there probably was some ego there. That being said, I'm not saying that everyone should just go ahead and start pouring out government secrets because you think it may, people have a right to the information. I do think to some extent the government should be able to keep certain things secret. What are your thoughts? Just open territory, let everyone raid the White House? Everyone raid the CIA, FBI?
Well, no. I believe, and you're gonna have to bear with me here for just a moment because I actually was in the middle of doing some production stuff and I wasn't listening. But I understand where you're going with that. I gotta switch the monitoring system back on. We, my whole thing about that is this: it's that we know that consistently throughout time, governments have hidden things from its people in the name of national security. So for the sanctity of national security, I believe there are some things that should probably not be brought out. However, if those things are directly affecting negatively the citizens of said country, then yeah, somebody needs to blow that whistle, whether it weakens our defense against other countries, because well, and
we
talk about a lot of the forefathers and stuff like that. It's been said over and over again that the minute that you take security over liberties, it's going to crumble the democracy.
Well, it's funny you bring up national security because I actually have a fun story about national security. During the day job, I do get to go on military bases. I do have to have access to secure areas, etc. And I went on a military base about a month and a half ago. I've been doing this huge project out there. I am driving through, as a contractor, I do have to go through searches and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. I drive through the search carrying and it is in the back of my truck. It is a big yellow box that says Class 2 radioactive nuclear component. And it is literally chained to the bed of the truck with cut-proof locks. That was in the bed of my truck. In the front passenger seat of my vehicle was roughly a pound of material that said, do not leave in direct sunlight, do not expose to moisture, combustible. Most days I would go through there. I'd seen the same gate guards every day for a month and a half. They knew who I was. I mean, how hard is it to miss a chick with a blue mohawk? It just doesn't happen.
Right.
So they didn't ask me for badges. They knew what I had in my truck. They were good with it. It should be noted that these are things I use for my job. It is not, I didn't just decide to roll through the military base with a bomb or some shit. On this particular day, the people that searched my vehicle, I did not know. The guard in the guardhouse, I wouldn't know me from Adam. I was never asked a single question. I was never asked to show ID. I was in an unmarked vehicle. No one asked me who I worked for, what my business was. No one asked me why I had a nuclear device and explosives. They just let me roll on through the gate. So it was that day that I realized we are no safer today.
They're probably like, there's the creepy girl. Just let her go through. Just let her go through. There's probably one of the guards was probably Latino and like, oh, dude, don't let her stop. Just push her on through.
All right, you know what? One episode without a Latino crack.
No,
but it really did make me question.
No, I get you. No, you're right.
Because it was like, okay, it's easy to assume that I'm not up to no good, but are you kidding me? I really for a split second wanted to turn around and request to speak to their officer, to their NCO, and be like, these guys just put an entire base at risk. For what? Because they didn't want to ask? So, and I think maybe next week I'll do a segment on national security and how well it's actually working.
We might run just a little bit over. The chat is alive right now. Do you want to go ahead and end the show? Do you want to cover?
Let's cover a couple things if the people in the chat have some things to say.
All right, so it looks like I apologize. It's not. I was saying Deanna. I guess it's Deanna.
No, it's Deanna.
Well, she said you pronounced my name Deanna.
Look, just don't worry about Deanna.
It?
Okay, don't worry about that. I'm telling you how to pronounce it.
You've been 86, Deanna.
It's pronounced Deanna. And get it straight, because that is my sister from another mister, and if you insult her, I will castrate you with a
Nikki is
spoon.
definitely a girl, so I got that one.
We got it. Thank you, Nikki.
Kimberly Hughes, do you know who that is?
I don't either.
Kimberly came by and said, good job, Mike Crayola.
Oh, I do know Kimberly Hughes. She is actually, remember me talking about the bodega earlier?
Dude, bodega's not a real word. Quit making shit up.
It is a real word. Google that shit.
It's convenience store or gas station.
She's one of the girls that works. There's this gas station right at the top of the street from where I live, and I go in there every day to.
Is that who you were talking about before we went live? You
Yes.
said these girls at the big,
girls
big the Bagoga?
Bodega.
Whatever.
Bodega. Yeah, so yeah, so that's one of my girls. Who else we got going on? What do we got going on?
No, that I think that was
was
just
it?
about it. And nobody called in. That's all right. Not a big deal. I want to thank everybody for tuning into the chat. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, I am definitely excited. I hope you guys come back for next episode.
The viewership right here towards the end of the show just went through the roof too. That's really badass.
Oh, awesome. I'm getting love. I'm getting love from someone other than myself for a change. All right, so that's gonna do it for me for this week. I hope it was as good for y'all as it was for me, and I will see you back here next week. Don't forget to submit me your emails, like me on Facebook. There you have it. Hit me up on Twitter. Leave me a voicemail on our hotline. You know, make it happen.
Call the hotline during the show.
That would work too. I could get down with that too.
We had all that tested and ready to ride and didn't get a single fucking call.
Oh, it's all right. It'll happen for us one day.
Well, we just started. On Tuesday's episode of the Pimpy Cast, we just took our first live call ever in the history of this network, and we got multiples of them. But I was so drunk that I took the first one and totally forgot that we even had that anymore.
As the producer of this network, you probably shouldn't advertise that you're a nut job with a drinking problem.
All you have to do is watch the Pimpy Cast, and you know that.
This whole network's a train wreck.
I guess we can call it a night.
We are going to call it a night. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. I am Charis. This has been Disenchanted with Charis, and we wish you all a good night.
Good night, guys.
Disenchanted with Charis, Thursday nights at 8 on the Pimpy K Multiverse Network.